Hey, this is Freddie Stevenson from Trials of Triumph, and today we have another cool guest for you. We have Brandon Jordan. He's a YouTuber, and he has a dope story for you to hear. Man, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Man, it's good to finally see you, man. I know you're busy. You've been ripping and running, man.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Good. It's good to be with a fellow Polk County boy.
Yes,
doing
sir.
Some big stuff.
I try to tell them it's so much dope stuff coming out of Polk County, man. They overlook us, but we got a lot of dope stuff coming out of Polk County.
That's right. Every time I meet people and they're like, "Where are you from?" and I'm like, "Well, I'm down looking up at all y'all, but I'm down in Polk County, you know." So.
And the people that aren't familiar with the area is like in between Orlando and Tampa.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, man. What you got going on today? How you feeling?
Good. Staying busy, much like yourself, which is great. Anytime I'm busy, that means we're progressing. So running around, just got back on some trips, playing with a bunch of fish on the internet. So life is weird, but I'm just following it, so it's good.
It's like looking at the journey now. Of course, you're still growing, but one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. But there was a point where you were still trying, figure things out. I kind of want to start there. So as we progress through the interview. Talk about, coming out of high school, starting off as a cheerleader. You get an opportunity at Columbus State University. How did that come about?
Yeah, so a lot of people always wonder, why cheerleading? And for me, it's like none of my family's ever went to college. And so, I wasn't genetically blessed to be huge and play basketball or football or anything like that. And so when I found out guys can get scholarships in cheerleading really easy, I was like, well, that sounds like an open door. I wanted to stand out in the family and just kind of do something for my last name. Start building some legacy early. So I started cheerleading. Luckily Bartow has a really good cheerleading team that gets recognized, and since I've left they've just exploded. They're doing great.
They win it all just about every year.
It's state nationals every time. It's crazy if they come in second place. That's how good they are. So I got really lucky. Got a scholarship to Columbus State University, and right before I even graduated, my father passed away. So that was just a huge hit, emotionally, and all you got is your family. So when you lose someone and you're at the pivotal age of becoming a man, like somewhere around that 18-year-old age, something like that happens, and then you get sent off to college. You're just it's a whole lot of finding yourself. So that's what led into really getting into the Eric Thomases of the world and the Inky Johnsons, the motivational speaking. I fell in love with that. And, now that I look back on that, I think that was like my process of healing. I was taking in all that information. I feel like it really helped me pull myself out of some holes, and then I wanted to do that for others. So I started doing a little bit of speaking for probably like 2 years, but nothing huge, just some small stuff.
Yeah, I remember it was the Inspirational Empire.
It's crazy.
I remember,
So, sometimes I'll get people that'll tag me in a shirt. I'm like, wow, that was, like so many years ago, but I don't think I could be where I am now without that. So I always say that, I don't think I was ever meant to be a motivational speaker, but what I think God did is put me in a situation, made me take that route of motivational speaking to be comfortable in front of a camera, learn how to speak to people, obviously be positive. It's my whole being is just positivity and just going and getting it every morning. So I don't think I could even start YouTube without the motivational speaking thing. So I think they're just building blocks. And when I started YouTube, it was just a class project in college. It wasn't like I woke up and was like, I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah. Kind of go up, talk about that. And that's just, we talked about, God's ultimate plan that we don't always understand, but it's a class project, and then it turns into this. That's crazy.
Right. So I'm your typical Florida boy. I like playing in mud puddles and fishing and, playing in the woods. So, I went to school for communication, and I really went because I had a scholarship. And so when I found out business was really tough, my coach was like, well, let's just put you in the easiest degree, which is communication major. I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'll communicate, whatever. Let's get this degree. So we went there, and I was doing all these classes. Well, it's stuff like this. This is the modern day version of what the communication major would be. Radio, podcasting, TV, all the stuff behind the cameras. That is what encompasses communication. So I had a wonderful professor And his goal was to teach us basic video and basic photo editing software. That was the concept and scope of the class. Interactive media production was the name of the class. So instead of putting us through all this lame homework, he was like, I'm just going to make y'all make YouTube channels. You'll learn how to edit your thumbnails with photo editing stuff. You'll learn how to edit your videos with video editing. And so everyone can pick whatever they want. You just got to film it and make 3 videos. So I learned how to do YouTube through the class, kind of how to make a thumbnail, how to make a title, how to video. And so I started doing fishing stuff. And I was up in Georgia. There's the largest man-made whitewater rapid course there. So we had this cool idea to dive, find lures, stuff like that. Well, then there was a phone that was found. So found the phone, ended up getting it back to the owner. The internet loved that. Then there were things like guns under bridges, call the police. They're tied to crazy cases that were solved because of it. And so there was just these random viral moments that happened. And, 6 years later, I've been doing it full time now, and it's just been a blessing.
Yeah, without a doubt. What's the thought process when you're going through it, you're grinding, and then you hit your first 100,000 subscribers? What's the feeling?
I mean, I was very fortunate. I had one of my best friends, his name's Jake. It's D Almighty on YouTube. And, when I met him, he had been doing YouTube for a little bit. And so I think I met him when he had 200,000 subscribers. He has almost 14 million subscribers now as of today. So he's grown a lot too. So I had a little bit of help, which a lot of people don't have, especially with social media. So I had someone who could show me the ropes, kind of put me in front of an audience and grow. So I had it a bit easier as far as getting my first 1,000 subscribers, which is really hard for people to do. But then I just took everything between the class and Jake teaching me and just went. And what's funny is I never even monetized my channel until after 100,000 subscribers.
Dang.
I was so into the art of it. And, much as if you're putting ads in, which is how you monetize a channel, you have people clicking off naturally in your ads. And I cared so much about watch time. I didn't care what amount of money I was missing. I had never made money from making videos before. So it's like nothing changed for me. So I kept my channel unmonetized all the way to 100,000. And once I did that, then I changed over to monetization. I was like, oh man, I missed out a lot. But, it was just, I was still in school. I was still working full time, and I was doing YouTube. And when I started reaching and crossing these thresholds, I was like, oh, wait a minute. This might be a real thing that I can do here. And remind you, this is at a time where there's the Logan Pauls of the world that are they're dominating, but you're like, I'm not that. I'm not going to create content like that. This isn't really a job for me. This is a real cool side hustle. So the more milestones that were crossed and opportunities I had, I was like, wait a minute, this could be a real career.
That's dope. So you reach your first 100K, and then kind of walk us through the process from 100K. You get the silver plaque.
Yeah.
Then you get the gold one.
Yeah. So the first 100K, you get your silver. And that is, I tell anyone, if you can get a silver play button, you can get a gold play button because you already have an audience. But, I admired a lot of other YouTubers. I mean, it's still all I watch to this day. I don't have, cable or anything. And so I am still very much in it. And my first 100K felt like a dream. I have to say it probably feels like buying your first house. You always thought about it. You would love to do it. But the day you get handed the keys, you're like, oh my gosh, I did it, you know? Yeah. And from there, it's you find so much joy because there's validation behind you now. YouTube now recognizes you, and there's all these cool perks that come with that. But it's now that you own your house, now it's like mowing your grass. You know? You're like, oh, that grass looks good. And so, I've always loved just making great videos, and trying my best to make great videos, but 1 million is not as sweet as 100,000, and 2 million isn't as sweet as 1 million, and 3 million. So there's these things where, before I used to chase analytics and really try to time everything, and now I don't even open up that page. I just figure out what videos we're doing for the week, figure out the big projects we can work on, because I just have a overall plan of what I want the content to be. And I think, I do have the luxury of thinking that way because I have now laid a foundation of, my YouTube channel exists. It's not going anywhere. So I don't have the initial struggles. Like even at 100K, you're like, if I mess up 1 month, I could lose all this, you know? Or so I don't know. The internet is a very scary place.
Yeah.
And at any point, your career could end. And I don't really view it as a career. I always say it's a job that you can make a business out of. But you can't say I'm a YouTuber as a career, because it just, you have a shelf life. And I think the way to get out of it is save your money, be really smart, or more so build a business on the back of your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And use your channel as like a billboard for marketing.
I like that. So when I know you're super busy right now, you're doing all different type of videos. How do you come up with the ideas of the next video?
You should see my notes, man. My notes in my phone are insane. So it used to be really easy because we created a new genre that didn't exist on YouTube. And so, you know, what I'm most known for is diving and finding stuff people lose, like iPhones, GoPros, finding fishing lures, stuff like that. That didn't exist. You know, when we said river treasure back in 2017 and 18, that was like a thing we made up.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like slang now. Like if somebody says like it's lit, it's like, where did that come from? Like there is someone that said it for the first time. And everybody's like, oh, okay. So, you know, we created River Treasure, me and my two best friends who also do YouTube, Jake and Tristan. So we created that genre. And so everything we did was new. And so it was very easy, you know, diving under bridges to find whatever, diving boat ramps or diving rope swings or wherever we went, it was just easy videos. Now, you know, people have seen that for the past 5-6 years. So now it's changed up a little bit to where, you know, I jump a lot in a bunch of different genres, but the same theme across my channel is water. So in every single video, there's going to be water. Whether I strand myself on an island for 72 hours and, you know, spearfish for my food and catch and cooks, all that stuff, or I am doing the diving stuff, everything's around water. And I think that's important because, you know, stuff can get stale after a while and you have to keep freshening it up. So, I think the ideas come a lot quicker if you change the scope of your channel, but not like hard turns. Like you don't want to go from a fishing channel to like a finance channel, right? Like you don't want to do that, but fishing to catching cooks of what you're catching or things like that work. So for the last few years, I've been on Facebook Marketplace pretty hard buying random stuff. So I bought a submarine and we rebuilt that. And now we're doing submarine videos and a Coast Guard boat, just crazy stuff. And the thing that I like to think now is every video I like to give it a layup to at least try to go viral. And it's very hard to go viral with a fishing video because you have to be a fisherman to watch fishing. But it's rather easy to go viral if you're fishing out of your submarine. So I try to think of things that, what is the audience of the world? How many of those could watch this video? And so I try to keep my videos general interest. And that's kind of where my ideas come from, you know? So
okay, that's dope.
Just weird stuff that nobody's doing. Somebody needs to do that. And I've elected myself to do it.
What would be your advice for someone that's, you know, new on YouTube and they're trying to build up their platform to not only grow on YouTube, but like you said, make a business out of it?
Right. So 2 things. I'm going to give you an answer for a very beginner. They're sitting with an iPhone in their pocket, and that's as far as they are in their quest for YouTube, right? And then the second one I'll give you is somebody who's somewhat established, right? Okay. So the first thing is, a lot of questions I get is, what is the best camera? What is the best editing software? That's where everybody wants to start. I have a bunch of cameras, just like all this stuff right here. There's a bunch of cameras around us. There's a bunch of gear. Even when I walked in, I was like, oh, this is legit, right? But if somebody really wanted to do even a podcast or a YouTube video, they don't need all of this stuff. My motto is the best camera is the one that's recording, and that is how you start. You come up with an idea, whatever your concept wants to be. I personally tell people, whatever channel you want to make, there's someone who probably is in that field right now on YouTube. Let's just say an example of, let's say football, right? There's some good examples of people creating football content. Destroying is one of the names that comes to mind. So you watch him, you figure out why you like him, and it doesn't have to be like really big things that you can't do. You maybe like his energy, something that simple, or you like how when he grabs the camera, he talks to you and you feel that. And so those are the things that you need to make note of. He is a creator, you are a viewer, but you need to think like a creator. What is he doing to engage that you like? And so use that as a blueprint for your own content, because he's already successful, things are working, and you as a viewer have already found him. Why did you find him? And then why did you stay? So once you can answer those questions, then it becomes to cameras and all that stuff. The best camera is the one that's recording. That is my motto.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of different cameras. We got underwater cameras, we got drones, we got GoPros, we got everything. I am not shy if something is happening to pull out my phone and record it. Like, there is so much footage on my channel when I have a bunch of cameras around. If they're off, the iPhone in my pocket is the best camera because it's the one recording. And so people don't need to get discouraged by all of the flashy lights. I started with a GoPro Hero 3 and one charger and one battery. And I would film with it on a stick when I was talking, and then I'd unscrew it and screw it back to my chest and cast while I was fishing. And that's just what I did. When I caught a fish, it was a mess because I tried to like get it off and then show the fish.
Yeah.
And it was a mess, but that is how you start. And then I would couple that with saying, don't try to be the biggest, best YouTuber. Like, don't try to follow the numbers, because that's just extremely discouraging right off the rip. The way to do it is to view your life as a scrapbook, man. Like, that is one thing that I loved about video before I started making money off of it. My favorite memories I have in this past like 8 years of my life are documented. And so I don't have to tell someone about a cool story that happened. Like, I have it.
Yeah.
Like, my kids will be able to watch that. My grandkids, man, I would love to see my grandpa at my age. Like, watch his videos if you have it. And I just think that's cool. It's a new version of scrapbooking. So don't think too much about, I want to, you know, be the Kai Cenat and make all this money and have like Nicki Minaj pull up at my house and do an interview. Don't think like that. Think like, you know, if you watch his beginning videos, he loved it.
Yeah.
He loved it. And so that's part of it. You cannot get fooled by the numbers, because you'll have big ups and you'll have big downs along the way. So that is my beginning advice. Very long-winded there. And I'd say my advice for anyone who already has a bit of a following, and this is something that transparently I'm working on too, is, you know, there's a shelf life with YouTube. And I think you take as much ground as possible. You just start like just taking as much ground as you can across all social platforms. So in full transparency, while everyone talks about my YouTube channel, my Facebook channel makes my YouTube channel look silly. My Facebook channel is way more dominant than my Facebook is way more dominant than YouTube. And so all I did was take what I was doing on YouTube, reformat it, put it on Facebook. And so there's things like that you can do to like help grow. And there's like the Snapchats and the Instagrams, all these things, especially with short form right now, is going insane.
Yeah, without
so
doubt.
yeah, and all of that stems from one video that you make. So if you're already established, make your one video, your YouTube video, if that's where you are. Make your YouTube video, learn about Facebook, upload it to Facebook, take your one video, make a couple Instagram reels, make a couple TikToks, try to get Snapchat stories going, like do all of that. And that was in 1 day of work of filming. That's easy. Now you're on 5-6 different platforms, and you may get surprised and you may double your income.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now that's building social business. Now, if you want to build like a brand, YouTube is so potent for marketing. And that's why companies will come to you and say, hey, I want to pay you X amount of dollars for you to promote this product. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, man, I cannot believe that they're going to pay me to say that for 60 seconds. That's insane. But you got to think about the return that they're getting. It must be valuable. And then that's when I started to think, okay, well, let's figure out how to build a business here. And it doesn't have to just be merch. I feel like merch is just like almost like an autograph for someone, right? Like something they can hold on to. But if you're an underwater person, if you came out with goggles and all of your people are underwater people, why would they not buy your goggles? You know, you see it with Prime. Prime is a great example because you don't have to, you know, I don't know what Logan Paul, let's just say WWE, whatever, right? Like, you don't have to like be a fan of the action that they do, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. We like to eat and drink. And so consumable products like that are great too. So things that everybody can do will, or participate in, will help boost. But yeah, just build a brand on the back of your YouTube channel. You have the marketing. People are paying you to market. Why don't you just make your marketing budget yourself?
Yeah.
You know? So you don't have to buy a billboard. You are the billboard.
Okay. I like that. And, you know, we're just about halfway through 2024. What personal goals have you set for yourself, you know, for the year? How are they looking? And if your year isn't going the way that you want it to, how can you adjust from here to finish the way that you want to?
That's a big question. You know, this year is the first year where I'm like, oh my gosh, where did the time go? You know, I think right now, I did a TV show last year, and so I balanced doing a TV show and YouTube, and that was really, really tough. We did 12 episodes, and it was very, very tough. And so for this year, my goal was to just solely focus on YouTube and start to kind of get back to the roots of what I was doing, because it was very hectic trying to balance both. Now that this year is halfway over, I think I've done a pretty good job of that. But me personally, as I'm starting to try to really push the limits of my channel and try really big things. So taking big risk, unfortunately, that comes with a lot of planning, which I'm just a turn and burn kind of guy. It's like, what's tomorrow's video? Let's get that done. And so trying to get my team together to really, and I have a very, very small team, try to get my team together to connect with big brands and do really big projects. And so that's what I'm working on. It just takes so much time, and it's not up to me.
Yeah.
So, but I'm setting myself up for those, so I'm really excited about that.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
And I guess the last question I'd have for you is, what are you grateful for? This is Trials of Triumph. What are you grateful for in life?
Man, everything. But you know, how could you not be? You know, I think I'm in such a blessed position right now. It's very scary sometimes. Sometimes I feel like having a more traditional job that's more guaranteed. Sometimes I feel like, man, that would be really nice. I struggle with the fact that my job has no finish line, and that's very difficult. So there's certain times where I sit down and, you know, everybody thinks it's all sunshine and rainbows. Yeah. And so I sit down and think about those things. And then I also think about like where I came from, how I ended up here. And I think those are the things that I'm most grateful for. And it makes me really appreciate where I'm at. So it's hard to appreciate where you're at when you don't have a finish line. And I learned that with the TV show. When I finally finished the TV show, I was like, man, that was like the first thing that I've started and like finished in years. And I don't get that with my job. I don't get to paint the house, and when the house is complete, I'm like, all right, cool, and I shake that person's hand, and I leave. It's just this video leads to the next video, leads to the next video, leads to the next video. And so I struggle with those things, but I'm also so grateful for everything that led me there. I think at a very young age, having my grandparents that made me lay bricks in the backyard and do a lot of like borderline hard labor for money, put me in a real, you know, like I really had to work. I really had to work at a young age. I worked on a potato farm. I'm pretty sure there's laws against this stuff, but you know, I worked really hard as a kid, and I learned the value of $1, and I feel like that served me well now that I'm older. And all of the struggles that I've had, you know, comparative to other people's, you know, everybody can relate on struggle. And I feel like much like yourself, you know, it's just everything that you've been through has led you to probably some of your greatest moments. And I feel like that about myself. I feel like my dad had a huge part in it at a very young age, trying to figure out how to become a man. I don't feel like I would have pushed myself as hard through really important years that led me to where I am now. And so I feel like the world is my oyster now. I legitimately believed when I was in high school working at Flipper's Car Wash in Bartow, I legitimately believed I was going to work at a car wash, and not even on some like funny stuff. I was like content with that. Like I was like, yeah, I love working at this car wash. It's going to be cool. And so to now see that I can be in a position where I'm like, I wonder if I could open like a chain of car washes. Like I just never thought I'd be able to have those thoughts. And so I don't think without struggle in the things happening at an earlier age in my childhood, I'd be able to do this. So I still take a bunch of big risk, and that's very scary, but I'm grateful to be in this position now because of all the previous stuff.
Man, it's a blessing to watch. Watch everything as it has unfolded, man, and just watch you from the beginning to where you are now. And of course, I know, guys, it's just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to continue growing for you. And like I said, I'm one of those people that just loves to see people walking in their purpose, and you're doing that to the fullest. And man, your energy, it's infectious. I'm sure everybody in this room can feel it.
I appreciate that.
Never change it. One thing I love about you is that no matter what level of success you've achieved, you're still that same guy that we knew, and I think that's the beautiful thing of life, because it makes you more relatable. Everybody's going through something, and people like you started off as a motivational speaker, but because of how you carry yourself every single day, you give people hope.
I appreciate that. I really do. It's very nice of you to say. And I feel like from starting speaking, now I feel like I've created enough that I have something to speak about. And I feel like that's something that could parlay into the future too. But it's just very grateful. I just wake up happy, man.
Yes, sir.
And that's just a blessing.
I love it.
It's just a blessing. So
let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
If you're interested in anything underwater, and it might be strange, it might be awesome, most likely it's going to be weird, across all socials everywhere, Jiggin With Jordan. Just look for a little check. If it's not a check, it's probably not me, but they probably repost my stuff too.
I appreciate you, man. It was a pleasure having you, man, and I'm looking forward to releasing this to everybody.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate the opportunity.
Sir.